Hello and welcome to the Beefy Tech channel. Today we will be testing two very popular CPUs against each other in Call of Duty. The two CPUs that we'll be looking at are the Intel i7 13700K and the Ryzen 7 5800X3D. Both of these CPUs are monsters in their own right, and for a small price of not eating for a week, you too could have one. On that note, I'll put up their respective specs on the screen, including their prices, just so you guys can directly compare them, but I do have a twist for today's comparison, as the 13700K was just actually outright slower than the 5800X3D when completely stock. I overclocked mine to 5.6 GHz on the P cores and decided to give it another shot against the 5800X3D. Mind you, the 5800X3D I have has MSI's Combo Strike 3 enabled, which slightly helps performance, and it also is paired with tuned 3800MHz BDI DDR4 RAM. Meanwhile, the 13700K only has DDR5 6200MHz with no tuned subtimings, as my specific kit was not too overclockable. At the end of the initial comparison, I'll also give a thorough performance numbers of the 13700K with the E-cores turned off as a little bonus. Here are the results. And the sad reality is that even after all of the overclocks and the time spent optimizing the 13700K, I was unable to get an OC that would make it faster or even equal to the 5800X3D. Mind you, this is all when they're paired with a 6950 XT, so that could be part of the issue. With an Nvidia graphics card, I suspect the results might slightly differ, but at least on the AMD side, when you pair AMD with AMD, they just seem to work beautifully together. Anyway, moving on to the 1440p results. Unsurprisingly, it is the same exact results. 10 to 20 frames more on the 5800X3D. From what it looks to be, the DDR4 3800 is significantly faster than the 6200 on the 13700K, or the 5800X3D is simply the superior Warzone CPU. It could be a mix of both, as I imagine the 13700K can be OC'd higher than 5.6 GHz, and the DDR5 kit that I have is simply not that fast, so with a faster kit it may overtake the 5800X3D. Now the GPU could also play a big role in this, but I only had the 6950 XT to test with. Alright, and for the little bonus test, I decided to disable the E-cores on the 13700K and leave the same exact OC on. As you can see, the FPS is mostly uninteresting, equal or actually less in some scenarios, with some FPS drops that I didn't see before. So my personal recommendation is leave the E-cores on, as it seems that when the worker count is set to 8 and you only have 8 cores enabled, the performance will be less on the 13700K. In the previous Warzone, this could render extra FPS, but clearly in the new one it does not help at all. For those wondering, I did do some testing with AMD's Smart Access Memory enabled and disabled on the 5800X3D plus 6950 XT combo, and it does have about a 10 FPS loss with it off, which could attribute why the 13700K lost in these tests. But given I have to overclock the 13700K to even get it close to the 5800X3D while it's paired with a 6950 XT, that says a lot and should give you guys enough information to make an appropriate purchase decision if you main a game such as Warzone. If you do want my personal advice, get the 5800X3D if you have an AMD GPU or already have the AM4 platform in hand, and get the 13700K if you have an Nvidia GPU or don't mind spending the extra time tuning and overclocking it, or dishing a bit more money for a fancier kit of RAM. With that said, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have found today's information here to be helpful at all, please consider liking and subscribing. Have a lovely day, and see you next time.